Here's a story that the mainstream press is giving little to no attention today. There are numerous minimum wage protests and fast food worker protests going on around the country. They're marching for a $15 minimum wage and the ability to unionize. Now, this always was fascinating to me that it's already on the books as a law that you cannot have businesses discourage their workers from unionization. But that law is just totally ignored. It's just totally ignored. In fact, I've had personal experience with this where I work somewhere, I won't say the name of the place because I don't want to get sued, and you had somebody he was the employee of the month one month, and then he tried to unionize the next month, they fired him. It's like, okay, that's not okay. That's not allowed. That's not okay. But so it's fantastic. It's a great thing that these workers are basically saying, enough's enough. We want a $15 minimum wage, and we really want the ability to unionize. So get this. You want to know how big this is? Between 160 and 190 cities are holding protests. This is huge. Even if there's only let's say there's 100 people at each protest, and it's not just that. In many places, it's way more than that. But let's say that were the case. Let's say it was only 100 people at each place. 100 people in 190 cities getting together for anything. I don't care what it is. You can't get that many people in each city to get together to agree that apple pie is delicious and they love mother. I mean, this is a big deal. It's a big deal to have 160 to 190 cities get together, and the numbers are way bigger than what I just mentioned right there. And again, what's the media doing? No, don't cover it, because then other people might get emboldened, and then there might be an even bigger move to get the minimum wage raised and to get workers' rights. And we can't have that because that would undermine the corporatocracy that we're living in right now, where corporations run the government. You know, there is a word for that. Somebody described, I think his name was Benito Mussolini, what fascism really is. It's when corporations and the government work together. Not unlike what we have right now. Quote, "The movement has already won victories in San Francisco and Seattle as they raise their minimum wages to $15 an hour, and this strike comes on the heels of another victory in Chicago where the wage was raised to $13 this past week. More than 8 million workers have received a raise since 2012 when the movement began." So this is getting somewhere. At the state level, we're having some progress. And again, this is not something that you're going to hear the mainstream media report on, because then this thing will get more momentum. This thing will get even more legs under it. And next thing you know, we're facing down a situation where workers are actually demanding their rights around the United States of America. And the corporatocracy cannot have that. Now, understand, I'm not claiming some grand conspiracy where everybody's sitting in a smoke-filled back room and they're going, whoa, we must crush this. No, it's not as planned out as that. It's not the Alex Jones Illuminati idea. It's the basic fact that corporations have bought the government, and then it's in their interest to not pay you more money. It's that simple. It's that simple. When these corporations give campaign contributions and donations to the politicians, well, then when the politicians get in office, they have to pay back that debt. And you pay back that debt through giving them special favors and setting public policy in their favor, whether it's through corporate subsidies or whether it's through giving them even bigger tax breaks or whether it's through giving them startup incentives where they'll give money for them to go into certain cities or states and do X, Y, or Z. So that's what it boils down to, and all of these workers are 100% right to demand these things. There are certain things that there's no rational counterargument, that you're not a serious person if you disagree. So, for example, just the basic idea that if you work a full-time job, you should make enough money to survive. Okay, I'm not having a discussion about that, because if you disagree, that's not very much different, in my opinion, than somebody saying we should have indentured servitude till this day. We should. You do know that one of the terms for working a full-time job and not making enough money to survive, one of the terms for that is wage slavery. You do know that, right? There's a reason why it's called that. Because you basically have no rights, you have no freedom, you're you have to wake up and work these long hours and go to a job that totally underappreciates you and undervalues your work. Understand that if you were paid what the average minimum wage worker actually produces, so how much work they actually put in, they'd make over $20 an hour. If we had a minimum wage today that was just equal to what it was in 1968, so simply, if you take what the wage was in 1968 and all you put into the mix is inflation, so what would be that number today? Over $10 an hour. So no matter how you look at the data, the same conclusion is screaming at us. Raise the wage. And the American people are right on this. It's not like we are fighting... We're some sort of minority fighting to get this insurmountable task. It is a very hard task because the corporations are blocking us, but 80% of the American people are with us. That's the most recent polling data on this. Even a majority of Republicans say, yes, you can raise the minimum wage. So understand the only group of people in America that are fighting this are the elite, the establishment, the corporations. Those are the only people who want to fight this. We're going to win this fight. It's a matter of time, but we need to put the work in. We need to do the protests. We need to get in everybody's face. And every single one of these protesters in these 160 to 190 cities, you have our support. You're doing the right thing. Don't give up. I was watching, I know this sounds corny, but it's something that really struck home for me. I was watching a game the other night, an NBA game, and Kobe Bryant, after the Lakers had lost like 5 or 6 in a row, they had a comeback victory that night, and Kobe, put the team on his back like he always does. And of course, the Lakers' record overall right now is not good. But he was asked in the interview after the game, how do you continue to motivate yourself when you look at what your record is and when you see that your team has so many injured players and let's keep it real, your season's not really going anywhere this season? And his response was amazing because it shows the heart of a warrior and the heart of a champion. He said, that's all the more reason for me to work harder. That's all the more reason for me to fight more and care more and be more obsessed and more involved because it's a harder task to overcome. This is when it really counts. This is when your character truly comes out. And that's my message to all the minimum wage protesters here, all the people who are asking for, you're being totally reasonable. You're not going above and beyond. You're not going crazy here. You're not asking for everybody in America to have a mansion. You're saying, give us a living wage and give us the right to unionize. That's it. And you're 100% right, and we're going to keep fighting, and eventually we're going to win.